A critical meeting between two world leaders completely gone off the rails. This was supposed to be a negotiation for Ukraine's survival, but what we saw was a clash of egos, power plays, and raised voices. But why did it fail? What lessons can we learn from it? Are there something we can learn in our own negotiations, in our business, in our personal life? This fascinated me. As I watched that whole meeting, there were so many nuggets of what should have been done differently to negotiate a favorable outcome. If you ever had to negotiate in business, leadership, and in life, then this meeting holds powerful lessons for you. So let's break it down. What went wrong? What could have been done better? And what leadership lessons does it hold for you? Let's jump in.
3, 2, 1.
Let's go.
Let's step back and look at what was this meeting about. Ukraine is fighting for survival. The US government is considering how much aid to give further, and Trump's administration is pushing for peace talks with Russia. And Zelenskyy argues that any peace talks with Russia without security agreements in place is a trap. Inside the Oval Office, things quickly went out of control. Trump asked for more transparency in the way the aid given so far was being spent. Zelenskyy argued that he needed more weapons and not less. And the discussion quickly turned hostile. Meetings like these are crucial for international peace. But this one was a disaster. Let's look closely at why this quickly went south. You realize that both the parties wanted different things. There are different expectations from the meeting. Trump wanted peace, and Zelenskyy wanted more weapons. There was clearly mismatched expectations. The other thing apparent was there was clearly no pre-meeting negotiations. There was no groundwork laid to look at common meeting points. There were clearly diplomatic missteps. The other thing clearly apparent to everyone was the way this whole thing was played out in public. The entire US media and most of the world was watching this. And the spat happened vocally in front of this entire audience. And you step back, and I don't want to get into that territory, but if you notice and think who gains in this whole thing, the most avoidable thing in this was the visual, public, heated discussion that happened. Let's spend some time on thinking how could this meeting have been handled differently? Could we rewrite history? Let's look at what could have been done differently. There was definitely a need for pre-meeting alignment. Talks that takes place between the diplomatic circles of the two countries. They could have discussed the different expectations and what were the common grounds. A US envoy could have easily met the Ukrainian officials to make for a much more agreeable negotiation. It was important to frame the discussion properly. If you normally in every negotiation, both parties usually have different expectations and different goals. Even if you are meeting a customer for a big deal, you'll realize that there are different needs and expectations of the two parties. It's so important to understand the two different expectations and figure out a solution that's win-win. It can never be I win and you don't. It has to be a win-win. Clearly in this discussion, there was no win-win in evidence. A little more time was needed to be spent in framing the discussion around a win-win. There was no attempt to talk about what's in it for you from both the parties. And finally, could they have used diplomacy far more than drama? Drama doesn't win wars. It's diplomacy that brings in peace. If I was to summarize the 3 top takeaways for anyone who's getting into a negotiation, then these are the 3. You must know the other person's expectation and goals. What is he looking for? What will make him satisfied with this negotiation? The second important learning, never lose your emotional balance. An emotional outburst destroys any chance of winning. Even in this deal, even in this meeting which happened, if they had quickly understood that there is a disagreement on the outcome and quietly withdrawn, they would have still left the door open for another attempt at this peace talk. But a visual, open, emotional outburst spoiled all the future chances for a long time. They might still meet again, but this will rankle. And the third, most important, find common ground. If you know his expectations beforehand, it's always possible to either in a pre-meeting with other people in the team and you being more open to finding common ground. What is the minimum that you both would be happy with as an outcome of this meeting? It can never be that I win and you lose. Remember that. You will have to find common ground. And in this whole house meeting, there was no attempt to find a common ground. Diplomacy is not just for leaders, not just for politicians and world leaders. It's for you, me, leaderships in corporate, or anyone who has to negotiate and take tough decisions. Use this meeting as a classic what not to do and take out learnings for yourself. I want to challenge you into thinking, how would you have negotiated this meeting far differently? Please do tell me in the comment and we could have a discussion. Till next time, just stay unstoppable.